The Quran actually is perfect. It's not missing any details. Like, for example, I had one person say, "Oh, you can't understand the story of the two sons of Adam. They, the marriage that they were supposed to have, and there was jealousy." I said, "Where's that mentioned? These details, where are they mentioned, these details? They're not there. These are from other sources. Who said that?" And I showed him, actually, if you go to biblical sources, you'll find these things in. It didn't change his mind, though. But subhanAllah, it takes time. For these ideas to change, it takes time. So please, if you're speaking to somebody, have good arguments. Always be friendly. Whatever the truth is, we try to follow, inshallah.
Assalamu alaikum. If you would like to access our free courses and download our study material, you can register at QuraniCArabicOnline.com to begin your journey to understanding the language of the Quran.
So inshallah, in this lesson, we're going to go through the story of the two sons of Adam alayhi salam. Now, this story, we're going to go into a lot of detail, and it might be the first time you've heard it in this way. And that's because what I'm trying to do is to take away all the information and stories and additions that have been added into the story from unknown sources, or from sources that we would consider unreliable. Now, just one thing I will mention before I start the story, and that's related to the details. Every story has enough details or sufficient details for there to be consistency in the story, where we will not need to go outside of the Quran to understand it. To claim that there are details that are needed to make the stories in the Quran consistent, or for us to get a better understanding of the story, to claim that we need to go to outside sources is to actually claim deficiency in the Quran. That's one of the aspects that I want to highlight when I go through all these stories in the Quran. Is that enough detail or sufficient detail is given to make the story consistent? We do not need to go to outside sources. Now, I do realize that scholars of the past thought they needed to do this, but there are some modern day scholars that suggest all the information that is needed is inside the story. Now, with this story here, the story of the two sons of Adam, this is the only place in Surah Al-Ma'idah, the only place in the Quran where it's mentioned. So we believe for there to be consistency and for there to be perfection in the Quran, that all the details are given there in the story. We do not need to go to outside sources to understand it. That's one of the aspects. I want to highlight a few aspects, but that's one of the aspects that I want to highlight when I actually go through the detailed analysis of the story. So, let's begin the story. Assalamu alaikum. So this is a brief overview of how to use our website and how to access the different courses. The first thing you need to do is to register a student's account. That can be done through here, register today. You can also here create a new student account. So let's do that. There's free registration and there's 2 free courses. Now you can register using social media apps. So if you're connected to one of these, mostly Google, Facebook are the most popular ones, but we have other social media logins as well. And this is done through Hiko software. So it's a very secure, it's not done through us, it's done through the main provider. And so there's more security there. The other way is to do it the traditional way, is through your name, email, and then password, and then you can create it here. So there's 2 ways of doing that. Now I'm going to log in with my student account. So you log in here, student login. I'm Arabic@sibuinstitute.com, and I've done it the traditional way. And we'll do student sign in. Now, once you're signed in, order history. And here it should say student account. And over here, as you can see, it says you are logged in and it has your name. And then we have the courses. All these courses can be accessed here. So they're all here. And usually they will have a lock. But when you actually purchase the course, and obviously if you purchase lifetime access, you'll get all of them unlocked. Introductory morphology. You go inside here. So over here, you're met with the menu. Base letters, examples, how words are derived. To click. So over here are the notes. We download the notes, then continue on, and then we go to the first lesson. And so you have all the lessons here. You have the quiz. There's quizzes, and each one has their own dedicated lessons and handouts. So we go to this lesson, and you can choose what lesson to go to and continue. And then there's a final assessment, and you can get certification. You can download the certificate, but you can get actual certification through us, and your name will appear on our website if you desire so. We can have a dedicated page for you and your accreditation. You can go back and then go to another course. Let's choose, as an example, Al-Hidayah fi Nahu, Part 1. Over here, we have all the lessons and the handouts and the quizzes. So everything is there and it's very similar.
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم وصلى الله على سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه وسلم.
When you have a question, each course, let's just go to this course. This is the basic. It's a free course, this one actually. You can ask the teacher. So here, ask teacher. And then you can ask your questions here. And then you get an answer soon after, inshallah ta'ala. So that's the interface. We also have, we're constantly having new courses, new lessons. So please watch out for that. We also are starting to introduce apps as well. So here with the lifetime membership, we get, for example, we have this. This is actually a dictionary. For example, a simple one. Let's go, for example, to kabara. It will go to this. It will define each term. It will give you sentences and different words to go to that are derived from the same three base letters. It will give you synonyms as well. So this is actually a very nice tool also to have. This is with lifetime membership. We're constantly adding new courses and new lessons, and we'll be adding new tools as well, inshallah ta'ala. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم وصلى الله على سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه وسلم. Okay, so inshallah, I was asked this question regarding here the use of the two faculties. Here it says, وَلَوْ شَاءَ اللَّهُ لَذَهَبَ بِسَمْعِهِمْ وَأَبْصَارِهِمْ. So absar is a plural, sam' is singular. And the questioner wanted to know, why was the singular used for the hearing and the plural form used for seeing? This is a very good question. Now, the word sam' and basar are verbal nouns from the verbs sami'a yasma'u and basara yabsiru. And they mean the act of hearing, sam', and the act of seeing is basar. So it's an action without a time frame. Now these words, sam' and basar, are also nouns. They are actually nouns to indicate the sense. Like in the five senses that we have, the sense of hearing and seeing is denoted by the same word, sam' and basar. So the five senses. And both of these have plurals, asma' and absar. They're both on the pattern of af'al. Now, the Quran actually does not use this plural of sam'. It's not found anywhere in the Quran, while absar is used. So both the singular and the plural are used. The way they're used when there's idafa to a singular pronoun, for example, we use basarahu. or بصره على بصره. When it's إضافة to a plural pronoun, so أبصارهم or على أبصارهم. So use أبصار with the plural pronoun. And you'll find this in the Quran. Now just a point here with using the pattern of the verbal noun for actually an entity. Here, سمع and basar refer to the sense of seeing and hearing, rather than the act of hearing and seeing. There is a slight difference there. This is also used in other words. For example, we have خلق. خلق is the masdar, is the verbal noun for خلق يخلق. But خلق is also used for an entity. It's used for the creation. So خلق refers to the act of creating, as well as it's used as an ism, a noun, to note the creation. Same with, for example, the word nasr. Nasr refers to the act of giving victory or giving help, but nasr can also be used for the actual help or victory. So this is shared between the verbal noun and for the ism, which, as we said, has a slightly different meaning. Now, absar is the plural of basar in terms of it being a sense, not in terms of it being a masdar, because a masdar does not have a plural. It just denotes the act without a time frame. Now, if you look at this ayah, it says, Inna sam'a wal basara wal fu'ad. So this here, both the singular forms are used, sam' and basar, not absar, like in the previous ayah that we showed you. Now over here, there's no specific fa'il. It's speaking in general terms about eyesight. When this is done, when speaking about just sight, without there being a doer, then basar is used. So that's just a clarification about that. You might find sam' and basar used. But we're talking about why we have sam' and absar. Now with sam', we can make idafa with either pronoun. Sam'ihim, sam'ihi, because asma' is not used. But with basar, it's basarihi, absarihim. Okay? Now the question is, why wasn't asma' used, the plural form, for sam'? And scholars give two main reasons for this that we'll inshallah try to explain. Now this is based on the nature of this perception or this sense, how this sense operates and how it is controlled. Both of these will indicate why the plural was not used. First of all is how it operates. Now with hearing, or the sense of hearing, we have somebody in front of us speaking to us. We can hear him and understand what he's saying. Now let's say there's two people talking at the same time in front of us, or three people. The more people that talk to us, the less we understand. So with hearing, it's something more specific. We cannot listen to many sounds at the same time. It cannot be done with this sense. However, with eyesight, it's a different story. We can have 2, 3, 5 people standing in front of us. We can look outside the window and see so many things. Trees, the sky, a garden full of different plants and trees, and so on. So with eyesight, we can see many things at the same time. Now for this reason, we only have the singular form for sam'. It's a faculty which has limitations on how much you can actually take in. Now the second point about this is how it's controlled. Let's talk first of all about eyesight. Now, if we don't want to look at something, we simply turn our head and look at something else. So looking at something else is very easy. So we can see multiple things in a short space of time. But with sam', with hearing, it's pretty much the place where we are. We can hear the person in front of us speak. Unless we move out of this location, we will still hear the noise. So with sam', it's harder to remove yourself from a sound. And you need to take active steps to stop the sound. Like, for example, plugging your ears. And then for this reason also, the singular is used there. Now, just finally, there's 2 ayat. We spoke about this one. Let's go this one first. It says, Inna sam'a wal basara wal fu'ad kullu ulaika kana anhu mas'ula. So indeed the hearing, the sight, and the heart. Now, the translation says, about all those, one will be questioned. So you'll be questioned about these things. An interesting thing here in this ayah is this ism ishara, ulaika. Ulaika actually is used for al-uqala, for the intelligent beings. So it's referring to as-sam' and basar and fu'ad by the ism ishara denoting intelligent life form. Now here what Allah is saying is that these will become intelligent on Yawm al-Qiyamah, and that they will be asked. Our basar will be asked, our sam' will be asked, and our fu'ad will be asked. Now that's another way that scholars have interpreted this, and this actually is more fitting with this use of ulaika. It wasn't tilka, the singular feminine, but ulaika. Here, in this ayah here, again it says, or who controls hearing and sight. And here we have the plural being used, al-absar, with as-sam'. So both are used for the plural. And the reason why is because of what came before it. قُلْ مَنْ يَرْزُقُكُمْ. Say, who provides for you? يَرْزُقُكُمْ. So he's speaking to all of us. The plural pronoun there. And there's a continuation in this section. أَمَّنْ يَمْلِكُ السَّمْعَ وَالْأَبْصَارِ. And that's why absar was used, the plural form, because of the plural pronoun being used there. That finishes the lesson. وصلى الله على سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه وسلم والحمد لله رب العالمين.